Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 11 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 11. Now before I start talking about it, I just want to mention this. This is the second last Futurama video to cover for this season, and then we'll be on to Season 5, and then after Season 5, every season that I'll be doing will be 13 episodes apiece. So I might be doing other side YouTube projects once I get past season number 6. I just wanted to let you guys know that just ahead of time. So I'll still be doing Futurama until I finish it. Just when I get to season 6, after season 5 and 6, I will be technically still working on Futurama until I finish, but since the rest of the seasons from season 7 onward are 13 episodes apiece, I might work on some side projects after while I'm working on it. But anyway, that's enough getting off topic. I just wanted to explain that part before I started talking. Now, this episode that I'm talking about is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 11. And Episode 11 in the Futurama 4th season is known as the 30% Iron Chef. Now, this episode is another episode that focuses on Bender's little obsession with being a chef, basically. Just like how it was previously when he was fascinated, just like how the previous episodes that I've covered that focused on him being a chef, the one where his secret, where he dreamed of being a chef was revealed, and the one where they were at Eldar's TV show and Leela got sprayed in with this spice weasel in the eye. Anyway, basically Bender is watching, Eldar cook, and at the same time while he's watching that, he's making brunch for the rest of the Planet Express crew, and Fry actually walks in on him when he's making brunch, and basically what happens is after that, Bender tells Fry that he's making brunch for everyone, and then Fry's like, right, I better tell the others. So he basically goes to where they are to the professor, and the rest of them are looking at this bottle that has a ship inside of it, and then the professor basically states that it's the world's very first largest bottle, and he put a ship in there to keep it from being boring. So it's sort of like a ship in a barrel, a ship in a bottle kind of thing. Or in the case of, I'm just gonna reference a video game here when I say this. I'm gonna reference the remake of the Destroy All Humans remake that I played. What Crypto says at the end of that was like shooting monkeys in a barrel. Oh my god. Barrel, bottle kind of thing. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I felt like I had to reference it because the bottle, in this case, if you're putting a ship inside of it, it's a different object, but different context. Different object, same context, basically. Anyway, and then Zoidberg goes to basically grab it, and then basically the professor swats them away from it, and he tells them, "For the last time, Zoidberg, look with your eyes, not your claws." And then basically that's when Fry shows up, and he's telling them basically, he's telling them to basically brace themselves, and because Bender is making them brunch, and then they all get shocked by that, like shocked, kind of upset, kind of, and then the professor is getting upset about that as well because he's like, "Oh God, my twack!" And then basically Fry tells them that Bender is so out of his awful cooking because if they don't eat it, he'll be crushed. And then Leela comes up with a plan to have them get to the ship and hide out in the polar ice caps for a few weeks. But as they're getting towards where the ship is, Bender is at the door. And he's like, fleeing somewhere. And then Fry's like, with him guarding the only exit, don't be silly! And then he tells them to come on, he made brunch, and then basically they're being served Bender's brunch, which is an awful thing, and then after he leaves, they kind of talk bad about his food, and then he gets upset after they leave. Oh, and before I continue, I just want to mention, the professor had actually made this, black hole that was placed inside the same table that they were eating the food. And no, the reason I'm bringing the black hole up is because the black hole, he puts the food in afterward, so that Bender notices that it's gone, so he thinks that they ate him, which is not. And because Fry wonders where the black hole goes, and then basically the professor says that he doesn't know, but the black hole that he put the food in just came out on top of his head. Oh my God! I'm sorry, but that's that's just so funny in the context of it. All the black hole really did was get rid of the food and then bring it back onto the table, except it landed on his head instead of on the table. Oh my God. And then they dump some of the drinking stuff into the plants, and then afterward, Bender gets upset with the plant, and he gets kind of angry with the professor because of that, because he says that the plant only gets sick when he makes brunch. How do you like that, Professor? With all your precious science, it's like he knows that they dumped it out, kind of thing. And then after that, after he overhears what his friends say about his food, he basically cries and goes to his little notebook for what to do for attention, and he says that he checks off that he's running away, and then he says, and this time, I mean it. And then he checks off the and this time, I mean it part. And then he runs away, basically. And then while he's away, while he's out of the Planet Express building moping, he comes upon Elzar's restaurant and asks Elzar for a job. But Elzar doesn't hire him, but Bender says that he watches his show and he owes him, and then Elzar's like, he owes him nothing. For starters, his antenna is in his, because he's basically asked him why, and then first off, Elzar says that first of all, his antenna is in, Bender's antenna is in his crotch, and second of all, he hates him, and then he basically tells him to let go, and then Bender starts crying again, and he wonders what the first one was, and then Elzar says it was, he hates him, but then Bender's like, I thought that was number 2! And then Elzar's like, I knocked it up another notch, bam! And then basically what happens is that Bender ends up out on the street because of that, and then he basically comes upon these two hobos, basically, and then basically one of the hobos is mentioning to another one, which is named Gus. He's like, Gus, old chum, let's all tribute to this robo. And then basically Bender's like, wait, what did you call me? And then the guy's mentioning like, a robo, you know, a robot hobo. And then basically Bender's like, oh, I thought you said like a Romo. And then they basically, he goes with the bums to basically this restaurant owned by Helmut Spargel, that's on an asteroid belt known as Bumbase Alpha, and then basically before they land on it, one of the hobos is mentioning to Bender that they're going precisely the speed of light, so roll when he lands and stuff, but he doesn't even get hurt. And then basically, then this smell of pie shows up, and then Bender's curious about who's making the pie that has hobo lifting aroma, and then basically, the hobos are mentioning that it's being made by Helmut Spargel, who Helmut Spargel is in this series. He's just a one-time character for this series, because now the reason why I say he's a one-time character is because this is the episode he first shows up in, and it's also so it's technically both his first and last episode. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that when I get into the segment of it that happens when he's eating Bender's food. I just wanted to bring up that part of it. Basically, what happens is the hobos are mentioning that Spargel's restaurant was so luxurious and stuff that the only way you could make a reservation was by creating a parallel universe where you already had a reservation. And then basically Bender asks him that if he is so good at cooking, then how did he end up in baking pies for hobos on this asteroid? And then Spargel basically tells him through a flashback, and we actually learn how Spargel ended up there in the series through the flashback. And basically what happens is Spargel explains that he used to be the leader, the host of a TV show, a cooking TV show, Down Home Cooking with Helmut Spargel, but the energy drink company that sponsored the show thought he was a little too old-fashioned, so basically the spokesperson for the show basically tells him that he's fired, and they bring in a new chef who ironically is Elzar's character. And then basically when Elzar shows up, he's like, "Get out, old man!" Bam! And then his souffle melts from pink to gray, basically, and then basically Spargel makes sort of a. Now this is another funny thing about this. This is another time when the Futurama series will kind of make a Star Wars reference. And the last time that they'll make one of these references, it's one of three, actually, because the first one was with the near Death Star, which was a reference to the Death Star in the Star Wars films. This is the second one, and there's one more in the third one, but actually, there's technically four, because there's one more in I know there's one where that has to do with the nudists getting remote controlled solid gold Death Stars. I know that's one. Anyway, I'm trying to think. I know there's another one aside from the one with the near Death Star and the one in this episode that I'm talking about. Anyway, what happens is, as I was saying before I got off topic there, I'm sorry I got off topic, by the way. Anyway, as I was saying beforehand, Sparkle mentions to the Bender that basically Elzar had been seduced by the dark side of cooking. Cilantro, mango, salsa, and vinaigrette kind of thing and stuff like that. And then basically, Bender said that his story is the same as, exactly the same as his, only much more better because it has robots. And then basically, Bender said that Elzar ruined Bender's dream of becoming a chef too, and then basically he starts eating some of the foods, and then Sparkle gets intrigued by that. He wishes to cook, but as a robot, he has no sense of taste, and then basically Bender gets sort of a little upset about that because of the fact of that he doesn't have the ability to taste, because he says he has 9 other senses, but he trade them all, including smidgen, in order to be able to taste. Oh my god. Anyway, but Sparkle basically explains to him that the fact that he can't taste food is a good thing, so he basically, because without the ability to taste, he's already reached the preferences to reach the height of pure flavor, and then he vows to train Bender, but he tells him that he had to forget everything that he knows about cooking, and then Bender says that's a good thing, and he's already on it, because he basically deletes all cooking aspects from his programming, and then it does this little training montage with Sparkle and Bender, and then after the training montage, Bender basically gives Homer Sparkle his created food, and then Sparkle eats it. And then, before I continue, I'm just gonna backtrack here to Dr. Zoidberg, because this episode has a side story that's connected to him. When the professor left, to meet the others, but when the professor left, with the others, after they were stopped from getting to the ship and hiding out from Bender, basically, the professor told Dr. Zoidberg, is he coming? And then Zoidberg says, sure, right. And then basically, the professor said that because he doesn't want Zoidberg touching the ship, and basically what happened was Zoidberg basically touched the ship and he accidentally broke it. Oh my god. So basically what happens with him is that for his segment of the episode, up until the point in this part of it where I'm talking, he's basically trying to figure out a way to basically repair the ship, but that doesn't work out. And then, because that doesn't work out, he comes up with something that, he thinks it's something Bender would do, which was frame someone. And then that's when Fry comes into where Zoidberg is, and then Zoidberg uses Fry as his, basically, scapegoat. And then, basically, the professor is talking to a friend of his on the phone, and then basically after he sees that his chip in a bottle is destroyed, basically what happens is after he sees that his chip in a bottle is destroyed, he called them all into the accusing parlor because one of them is a model shipwrecker, and then basically the professor basically tells them that certain clues point to the one responsible for destroying the ship as Philip G. Fry, and then Fry basically explains that he didn't do it, but he's wearing a t-shirt that he says, I basically hate bottles, which is something that Zoidberg made him wear, and he hands this confession note in, and then basically because Fry's an idiot in this series, he says that he can't deny that logic, and then basically, as recompense, the professor decides to have him pay for the cost of the materials, $10, and then basically when Zoidberg hears that, he's like, what have I done? And now that's the last part of that. I only brought that up because that's gonna lead into what's gonna happen with the ending segment of it. That's the reason I brought it up. Anyway, now basically, getting back into the segment with Bender and Helmut Sparkle. After the training montage is done, Bender gives Helmut Sparkle his creative food, and Helmut Sparkle basically eats it, but one bite of it, and then he says that it's acceptable, and Bender's ecstatic about that, but he's wondering why isn't he eating the rest of it, and then Sparkle's mentioning, because my stomach is about to explode. So basically, he's about to die eternally from stomach explosion. I don't know if it was because of the food or anything, but Bender thinks that it is because of the food, because he's like, what? My food killed you? And then he gets depressive about that, and then basically, Helmut Sparkle basically tells him that it's not bad when he's going, he just had to defeat Eldar in his place. So he gives him this bottle of basically elixir that's that he says is the Xanapure flavor, 1 drop, and the food will be, any food that he makes will be irresistible. And then basically what happens is, and he says, oh, there goes my lunch, and then he basically collapses, and then Bender said they'll avenge him, and he said that basically, I'll avenge you, Master, I swear, in the presence of these drunken bums, that I shall defeat Eldar. And then one of the hobos says that he's not drunk, he's mentally ill, but he's right with what he said. And then basically, then it goes into a scene where Bender is inside Eldar's cuisine place, and then he's challenging him to basically a battle of the chef because of what happened to him with Sparkle. And then basically, Elzar basically explains that Sparkle, huh? What did he do? Blow up or something? And then Bender says no. And then he tells him that he was eating some bad food that Bender made, and his stomach exploded. And then his stomach exploded. Now he's here to avenge him. And then basically, because of that, Eldar's like, okay, but it sounds like you're the one who killed him. And then basically what happens is after that, Bender says that may be so, but Elzar is Sparkle's sworn enemy, so basically he challenges him to a battle of the chef because of that, and then he basically slaps him across the face with his hand after he unscrews it, and then Elzar says that they'll meet on the ancient televised battleground at Kitchen Coliseum. Whoever's meal will be claimed the greatest will win the title of Iron Cook. And then basically Bender says that that's a good thing because he can't lose because he's 30% iron, and he tells Elzar that he's going down, and then he also mentions that he had a reservation for one under Dr. Bender, and then it goes into the scene where they're doing the cooking contest, and then Bender is cooking and stuff, and they're also selling these commemorative turkey basters. So Fry basically tries to buy one, but he remembers that he had to also pay the professor his money in order to pay for the destruction of his ship in a bottle, so he's not able to purchase it. And then Zoidberg is becoming overwhelmed with guilt by what he did, and then after that, And then after that, what basically happens is the meals are ready to be served, and then basically, basically what happens is before Bender's meals are ready to be served, he puts drops of Helmut Spargle's special elixir into the food, and then then they're able to taste then the three judges were Morbo, Ethan Bubblegum Tate of the Harlem Globetrotters, and one of the heads of a famous person. Basically, they're tasting them, and basically they like Elzar's food, but when Bender gives him his food, they get really ecstatic about it. And now that I brought up Morbo for this part, I'm going to mention Morbo's part for this episode actually is kind of funny because it causes him to basically have sort of like a happy cry type meltdown where he breaks down and starts happy crying. He's like, the Challenger's ugly food shows us that even the most things can be sweet on the inside. And then basically, Tate is basically giving Morbo, the news alien, a hug to cheer him up because of that, which is hilarious a little bit. Anyway, and then basically, the chairman of the Kitchen Coliseum, which is Chairman Koji, basically says that Bender is the one that wins the challenge, and then basically because of that, he wins a certain amount of prize money and the title of Iron Cook, and Elzar is doomed to scrub. But because of that, he tells Chairman Koji that basically he came here with one purpose, to humiliate Elzar in a public setting, and he thinks that he's achieved that, and then Elzar says no question. But because of that, he also declines the prize money and the title of Iron Chef, and accepts the different title, which in his words comes with another double prize money. And then basically after that, that's when that part of the episode ends. But right before it ends, what happens is Zoidberg, still overwhelmed with guilt, basically tells everyone the truth that he was the one who broke the professor's model ship, and then he framed Fry for it, and then basically he couldn't take anymore with what happened to his $2, $10, and then basically he decides to do the only honorable thing, which is killing himself. So he takes the sword of Chairman Koji to stab himself, but I don't think it was an actual sword, it was a prop sword, because basically what happens when Zoidberg puts it into his chest, it skits in half, and then Chairman Cody's like, oh, that sword cost me $5,000! And then basically Zoidberg goes back to blaming Fry, and then after that, after Bender explains that that's how he defeated Elzar, and the others say that they know because they were there and they just finished watching it on TV. And he also mentions about Elzar's special thoughts, and then basically the professor takes Elzar's secret Spargle's secret ingredient to test it, and he finds out that the test results will show that what is contained within it is just water, ordinary water. Then Fry realizes that maybe the real thing that Fargo gave him to win was the confidence to believe in himself, but then basically the professor adds to what he said about it just being ordinary water. And here's the funny thing, it is ordinary water, it's just mixed with a little LSD and stuff. And then Bender says that the important thing is, by his standards, he did win. And then he asks everyone who wants brunch, cooked with a little bit of compliments. And then basically they get happy about that. And then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can. And I will see you guys probably next time for the next video. So until then, I'll probably post this video later today after the CFL football game that's on, after the doubleheader of CFL football that's on. But until tomorrow, guys, until tomorrow for the next video, guys, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next video. But until then, like I always tell you with this series, on a bun.